18-year-old Max was home alone for the weekend as his parents attended a family reunion. His family's old Victorian house had always been a place of comfort, but as night fell, Max couldn't shake the feeling that he was being watched. On the second night, as Max settled in to watch a movie, he heard faint, ghostly footsteps echoing through the hallway. He muted the TV and strained his ears, but the sound stopped. He thought it might be his imagination, but a sense of unease gnawed at him. Just as he tried to dismiss the footsteps, a door creaked open, followed by a chilling whisper that seemed to come from the very walls. "Max," it murmured, barely audible but distinct. Max's heart raced as he realized that the voice knew his name. He ventured into the dark hallway, and the voice seemed to beckon him to one of the guest bedrooms. The door stood ajar, and Max entered cautiously. The room was freezing, and he saw a figure standing at the window, their back turned to him. The figure was dressed in outdated, tattered clothing, and as Max took a step closer, the figure turned, revealing a face twisted in anguish. Max gasped as he recognized the face of a relative he had only seen in old family photos, a great-great-grandmother who had died long before he was born. The apparition's eyes were filled with sorrow, and she extended a frail hand toward Max. The room seemed to grow colder, and Max's breath formed frosty puffs in the air. He felt a strange compulsion to reach out to the ghostly figure. But as he approached, the room grew even colder, and Max realized that the ghostly presence was draining the warmth from him. He struggled to break free, retreating from the room and slamming the door behind him. Max could hear the ghostly figure whispering behind the door, pleading for help. He knew he had to find a way to free her spirit and escape the house, but he couldn't do it alone. Max retreated from the room, his heart pounding with fear and confusion. He knew he couldn't ignore the ghostly presence that had manifested in his family's house. It was clear that the apparition was trying to communicate something, but the room had grown so cold that it felt like the grip of death itself. Desperate to understand and help the tormented spirit, Max returned to the guest bedroom. The ghostly figure was still there, its eyes filled with longing and sorrow. It extended a hand toward him, and Max knew that he had to make a connection with the spirit. As he reached out to touch the ghostly hand, a jolt of cold energy coursed through him. Max felt a rush of emotions, as if he were experiencing the past through the spirit's eyes. He saw images of a family tragedy, a fire that had consumed the house decades ago. The great-great-grandmother had perished in that fire, and her spirit had been trapped in the house ever since. Max realized that the ghostly figure was seeking closure, a way to move on from the trauma of her past. He promised to help her find peace and bring her spirit to rest. With those words, the ghostly presence seemed to shimmer with gratitude. Working together, Max and the ghostly figure revisited the rooms of the old house, piecing together the events of that fateful night. They uncovered forgotten family heirlooms and memories, and Max found a photograph of his great-great-grandmother in her youth. The photograph seemed to hold a special significance. And as they made their way to the attic, they found a dusty box of mementos from the past, including a handwritten letter that had never been delivered. It was a letter of love and regret, written by Max's great-great-grandmother to her sweetheart, who had died in the fire. The letter had remained hidden for decades, never reaching its intended recipient. With the letter in hand, Max and the ghostly figure returned to the guest bedroom. The room had grown warmer, and the ghostly presence now seemed at peace. Max read the letter aloud, and as the final words were spoken, a warm light enveloped the room. The ghostly figure smiled, her eyes filled with gratitude and love, and she dissipated into the light. The room felt lighter, as if a heavy burden had been lifted. Max knew that he had helped a tormented spirit find peace and had uncovered a long-forgotten chapter of his family's history. As he stood in the guest bedroom, he felt a sense of closure and a deeper connection to his family's past. The house, once a place of fear and mystery, had become a place of understanding and healing.